What if everything you've been taking to boost your energy, sharpen your focus, and fuel your body, every supplement, every powder, every pill was all covered by one single food? That sounds too good to be true. Yet, NASA has endorsed it as a complete food for space travel, and the United Nations declared it, quote, one of the greatest solutions to human nutrition on Earth. The science has been here for 50 years, and most of us just missed it. On a mission to help her sister heal from breast cancer, our guest today, Dr. Catharine Arnston, dove into nutrition science and discovered something that stopped her cold. Algae. That's right, you heard me. Algae. It's ancient, extraordinary, and hiding in plain sight. It's not the one that's collecting in the reflecting pool in the United States Capitol, if you know what I mean. Okay. Catharine's discovery lit a fire within her that never went out. She built an entire company from the ground up named Energy Bits, based on this superfood, and she has dedicated her life to making sure the rest of the world gets access to it. This is Men Talking Mindfulness. I'm Will. Jon is, we're a team. We're here together. And today we are cracking open how two forms of algae, spirulina and chlorella, how they boost your energy, your focus, improve your recovery and sleep, optimize your hormones, and so much more. So buckle up, buttercups. This conversation is going to change how you think about what you put in your body. Wake up to who you can be. Welcome to Men Talking Mindfulness. Let's go. Catharine, it is incredible to have you here. Thank you. Yes, let's go.
Let's go. That's right.
I say we're in the world of AI, but I call it algae intelligence, not artificial.
There you go. I mean, we're going to talk about that intelligence in this algae. What is even algae? So awesome. Jon, good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too, Catharine, and welcome to the show. We're excited to get in this conversation, and both Will and I have experienced those energy bits, and I'm sure we'll touch on that here in a little bit. But let's get one other piece to get that brain working and our body working is our one breath grounding practice, Catharine, which we do at the beginning of every show. We're literally just going to exhale as a group. So let's exhale, the three of us. Really letting that go, emptying out, and then a nice, long, slow, deep breath in. Feeling all the way to the top, holding full, and letting that go, and letting that go, and letting that go. All right, there. Now that long opening is out of the way. Let's get into this. Will, my brother, how you want to start?
All right. Well, Catharine, I thought, we're going to cover kind of four areas here about these two wonderful substances, these superfoods. And I thought it would be nice to kind of like put this all together, really talking about inflammation and disease and alkalinity, which I mentioned in the intro is like, this is what kind of led you to this, was what your sister's cancer diagnosis that kind of brought you to diving in and, in this algae rabbit hole, if you will. So, how did one lead you to the other?
Thanks, Will.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm actually Canadian by birth, and I mention that because 17 years ago, my younger sister, I have two sisters who both still live in Canada. I've been in Boston, Massachusetts for the last 35 years, although I moved recently to Miami. Anyways, 17 years ago, my baby sister got diagnosed with breast cancer. Of course, I wanted to help her in any way I could. Her oncologist told her to change her diet to an alkaline diet, didn't tell her why or what it was. So she called me. I had no nutrition background whatsoever. I was a corporate executive. I have an MBA in international business, knew nothing about nutrition like many people who may be listening today. But love will propel you to do a lot of things. And I just jumped on the internet to learn about what an alkaline diet was, found out it was mostly a plant-based diet because of the phytonutrients and the chlorophyll that have been proven to build your immune system. And she was going through chemo. So her oncologist wanted her to have a strong immune system. However, along the way, I discovered more information about an alkaline diet. There's a German scientist by the name of Otto Warburg. Back in the 40s, he won a Nobel Prize for discovering that cancer cannot exist in cells that are slightly alkaline. So I think this was the other reason her oncologist wanted her to have an alkaline diet, to prevent the cancer cells from growing into the other healthy cells. Fast forward, I learned so much about helping her and alkaline diets and plant-based nutrition. I gave up my 25-year corporate career, went back to school, got a health coaching certificate, taught plant-based nutrition at corporations and hospitals for a year, But trying to get people to eat more vegetables, but a lot of guys who are listening will relate to this. A lot of people don't like vegetables. Oh, surprise. Or they're too much work, or they give them gas, or the kids won't eat them, and they don't live near a grocery store. So I thought, I've got to find a way to get the nutrition from vegetables, which is alkaline and have all these other great polyphenols in them. I got to find a way to get the nutrition into them that doesn't give them gas, that doesn't taste terrible, isn't a lot of work, and is effortless. And one thing led to another, and I kept seeing spirulina and chlorella algae mentioned in the science I had been digging around for my sister, and I finally stumbled into algae as the answer. The most nutrient-dense food in the world, as you mentioned, Will. The NASA says it has 1,000 times more nutrition than any other fruit or vegetable, endorsed by the United Nations as the answer to world hunger. There's 100,000 studies documenting the health benefits of algae. It's been used safely in Asia for over 60 years on a daily basis. It's an agricultural crop. Algae is not a supplement, it's food. And the best part of all is that it comes in these little tablets. This is what we sell. And you can swallow the tablets or chew them. If you swallow them, there is no flavor whatsoever. You get all the nutritional benefits of vegetables with no work, no hassle, and no flavor. And in fact, each of these tablets is so nutrient dense. One tablet has the same nutrition as an entire plate of vegetables. That's about 3/4 of a pound of vegetables. So that's when I decided I have to get the word about algae out to the world, because everyone in Asia knows about it. You can't ride your bicycle to school or take your car to work without going by an algae farm. We don't have algae farms in America. No one's explaining the science of what it does. So that's what I started doing 16 years ago, and I'm still doing it, and I'm still more committed to algae and getting it out to the world, because we have a health crisis, a nutritional crisis, a mental crisis, an environmental crisis.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And you'll find out as I'm writing a book about it, algae solves them all. I know it's almost impossible to believe, but 100,000 studies back me up.
Well, we can go a little one at a time. We talked about alkalinity, but what about inflammation? I mean, there's men out there that are accumulating inflammation and continually, living in an inflamed state for a very, very long time. How does, what are the warning signs for inflammation, that men might be missing? And then, how does what we're talking about here today really make an impact on that?
Yeah. Well, most people probably know that inflammation is not good for you, and it's indicative of what's happening at the deeper cellular level. Most of your inflammation is inside something called your mitochondria. Your mitochondria are what generate all your cellular energy.
Yeah.
And so when there's inflammation in the mitochondria, they aren't producing energy efficiently. And there's more free radicals than your body can knows what to do with. So the symptoms of inflammation are things like brain fog and fatigue, problems with digestion, with sleeping. They manifest in multiple ways. And then because as the inflammation increases, you can slide into a chronic disease state. I think something like 65% of Americans over the age of 40, so adults, have at least one chronic disease. And it all comes back to this inflammation and damaged mitochondria. And the mitochondria are getting damaged by excess free radicals, which are results of multiple things. You could be eating too many processed foods. You could be just eating too much at a time. You could be exposed to toxins. You may have too much stress. And when you layer these all on, these all start damaging the mitochondria, because the stuff that fuels your body is called ATP energy. And it's created in the mitochondria. But what people don't realize is a byproduct of that energy are free radicals. And you need to make sure you don't have too many free radicals, because then it damages the mitochondria, which means they die. So now you have less energy, and you'll have because they're not working properly or they're not there at all. And then you get into this downward cycle. What you'll find in the spirulina in particular, and then we'll talk about the two different algae and why they're different, it has nutrients in there that protect the mitochondria and stop the free radical damage. So it's like having your SOS crew in there.
Yeah.
Hey guys, it's Jon. Real quick, before we get back to the show, everything Will and I make for you lives in one place. And that's on our website, mentalkingmindfulness.com /link in bio. We have the overall website, but this specific link, mentalkingmindfulness.com /link in bio, has all the things. Or you can just text MTM to 33777 and we're going to send it straight to your phone. Start with the free awareness self-assessment. It takes just a few minutes and you will walk away knowing where you stand and where to start with growing and improving your awareness. You can also find our free app and our newsletter built to give you tools you can use that same day. And our course and community, Awareness to Action. It's linked there too. A2A is where this show turns into practice. It's real training on the gap between what happens to you and how you respond. Alongside this community that's just growing every day, every week, we've watched it change how people show up at work and at home and for themselves. And it's real practical stuff that you can use every day. So that's mentalkingmindfulness.com /link in bio, or text MTM to 33777. All right, back to the show.
Wow.
Now, a lot of men, like we talked about, you said, men don't like vegetables, or at least we said that before the show. Another thing that men are concerned about is their testosterone levels. How does inflammation affect our testosterone levels?
Well, inflammation affects everything. That's why you can read thousands and thousands of scientific papers that it always, and even in men's magazines, any magazine will confer that inflammation is the cause of virtually every issue. Doesn't matter whether it's dropping testosterone or brain fog. So anytime you can restore the mitochondria and restore the cellular energy, because the cellular energy is used for everything, not just a great workout or running to the store. It's for your neurotransmitters. It's for your lymphatic system. It's for your vascular functioning, which, and you need all of your hormones. Everything is driven by the access to cellular energy. I relate cellular energy to money. When you have more money, you can do more things and you have more choices. When you have more cellular energy, more ATP, you can do more things and you have more choices. And the problem I'm finding in society is that we all assume that once we hit a certain age, 40, 50, maybe 60, we assume it's a downward spiral after that.
Yeah.
And that's because that's all we're seeing right now. And then when you read about the blue zones or different little pockets around the world where there's one or two, a handful of people that are living longer, that's the way we're all supposed to work. That's the way we're all supposed to live. But the level of toxicity, the lack of nutrition, the lack of exercise, the high level of stress just layers on damage to the mitochondria. So nothing is performing the way it should. There is no, Jon and Will, I turned 72 in 2 months.
Wow.
72. That's a 7 with seven zeros. Right? I turned 70 in 2 months.
Wow.
I think I didn't have enough energy bits today. So, and I got my PhD last year. I run a big company. I'm just finishing a book. Everything I'm doing is working. I walk 2 miles every day with a weighted vest. I work out. If I know I'm just at one sample size, but I take this stuff every single day and have for 16 years. I don't take any medications. I have no chronic disease. I don't even take any other supplements. This can happen. This is available to everyone. Everyone. Right. We don't have to have a downward spiral. You don't have have to have that drop in testosterone. You just need to know how to get your body back on track. And ultimately, that means getting your mitochondria functioning properly.
Yeah, some people might not be like, you hear the word mitochondria, and I think one way that I've heard it explained, which I really appreciate, this simple definition, it's like the power plant in your body, and it's in every cell, right? And if you're, not efficiently feeding your power plant and creating the right conditions to run an optimal power plant, aka mitochondria, like obviously we're going to feel like shit. And I think also it's like, I feel in the last like 30 years have really really have a lot of great information about nutrition science now. Right. So it's like, I know my parents' generation, it's just like when you get older, like all these things, start to kind of decline because of, I don't think they had this nutrition sciences that really help people understand. It's like, wow, I could really make a difference in my life after I hit 40 years old. I could still maintain a high testosterone level for men. I can still have good cognitive ability. I can actually, if I can actually still have a strong body at 50 into 60 into 70, if I put the work in. So I think we're really seeing a big shift here on
Yeah.
many different levels, especially nutrition science and, the health of the body and the mind and how it all works as one beautiful system. Um, and this conversation is really helping us understand that.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and what I found is that the science about algae and about nutrition to help with your aging process is available in the scientific silos. The
right.
problem is scientists are rewarded for research, for publishing papers.
Money, money, money.
That's how
Yeah.
they get tenure. That's how
Mhm.
they get bonus. They are not rewarded for speaking to consumers. So this science is
Mm.
stuck in these silos,
Yes.
and there is nobody taking this available research and communicating it to the rest of us. And
Right.
that's what I try to do. I'm bridging the gap. I sit on the shoulders of all these great scientists who know great stuff, but they don't know how to communicate it. And they're
Yeah.
not going to be going on Oprah's show or any of the talk shows or probably writing books like I am for consumers. So the science is there, but it's not getting out to where it can do where it can help people. So
Yeah.
that's what we need. We need more people to bridge that gap.
Yeah.
And
But we're starting.
the
I think
guests that you have do that.
Yeah, I think, well, independent media, I think, is making a big splash on that. I mean, there's been a lot of, I feel, capture of, I mean, there's still fucking advertising Mountain Dew and Doritos on TV. You know what I mean? Like, that's just like, wow. I mean, I can't believe that that's
Do the
really
do.
happening today. Yeah, do the
Yeah.
do. I mean, and it's like, and actually some of these substances like Skittles and Mountain Dew are banned in certain parts of the world, but we're advertising here, like,
Yeah.
glorifying them in some ways. So it's just like talk
Yeah.
about an an alkaline disaster. I mean, not as, but like an
And a
acidic
sugar disaster and
right?
a
For all that
toxin
kind of stuff.
disaster and
Yeah,
prefab food disaster. I know it's just so. This is why I call algae intelligent food. You need
yeah.
to be
Well,
intelligent to take it, and it knows what to do in your body. And the two algae, spirulina and chlorella,
yeah,
do completely different things in your body. And maybe if you'd like me to, I can explain what they
yeah,
do
yeah. We
differently
like
because
that's where
they
we like to go next is like, what makes them a superfood, and like, and their nutrient density and like why they're so yeah, I mean, just so incredible for the body, like we had already
yeah.
kind of talking to here.
Well, so the two main algae, first of all, algae is a food category. And the two main categories are macroalgae and microalgae.
Mhm.
And macroalgae is that stringy stuff that washes up on shore, maybe when you're having your romantic walk on the beach that you kick your feet into. And it's still good for you, not the stuff that washes up, but if you buy it properly, because it has high fiber and iodine, which is could be good for you depending on your situation. But high fiber, but it has virtually zero nutrition. So that's the stringy stuff, high fiber, zero nutrition.
Mhm.
Microalgae, which is what we're talking about today, is completely opposite. It either has zero fiber or very little fiber. And it is the highest concentration of nutrition in the world. And that's not my opinion. That's been endorsed by scientists, United Nations, NASA, does thousands of organizations. So it's pretty well documented. So high nutrition. Now, spirulina has zero fiber because it's actually a bacteria.
Mhm.
Chlorella, which we'll talk about in a minute, does have fiber. So we're talking about microalgae here. Spirulina and chlorella are two of them. Spirulina is what's called a blue-green algae, and chlorella is called a green algae. And the reason they're called that is because of the main pigments in them. Chlorella is called chlorella because
Right.
its main pigment is a green pigment that we're all familiar with called chlorophyll. That's why it's called chlorella.
Yeah,
And then
right, right.
spirulina is a blue-green algae, and it has chlorophyll in it, but the main one is a blue one called phycocyanin, which is spelled with a PHY. It's
Mm.
PHYCOCANIN. Most people have probably never heard of phycocyanin, but when I finish, you'll understand why you certainly need spirulina, if nothing else, for that blue phycocyanin. Now, some
Mm-mm.
people have heard of methylene blue, which is a chemical
Yeah.
that has been used for lots of reasons, like improving mitochondrial health. But the phycocyanin that's in the spirulina is natural. It does everything that methylene blue does times 100.
Good.
But
Good.
it's natural. It's not a chemical.
Yeah, I
So
don't want to put denim dye in my body. I mean, I'm just like I remember like about a year ago there's kind of a big push about methylene blue, methylene blue. I'm like, where does this come from? And it's been used as a chemical dye in like fabrics for decades.
oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's too
Oh
funny.
yeah, oh
Well,
yeah, and it makes
I
your
have
blue brain. You pee, you pee and your poo blue. I mean, I'm sure it has these effects. Yeah, I mean, you do. And I'm like, I don't know if I want
maybe
that in
for
my
July 4th, you get a bit of red, white, and
yeah.
blue.
I just don't know if I want that in my body. So I'm glad there's an alternative. But keep
Yes,
going,
yes,
please.
yes. Well, I've never been a big fan because anything that's chemically
I
made and
agree.
produced, I defer to Mother Nature. You will never outsmart Mother Nature. Never. She is the
Mm,
universe. She is God. It's all
mm.
the same thing. So if you think you can outsmart God, I don't know. Maybe they need to take your course.
Hey, thank you. Great. That's a big
Okay.
plug.
Great
Thank you
plug.
for that. Yeah.
So the two main microalgae are spirulina and chlorella. Now, blue-green spirulina is a blue-green algae because of that blue phycocyanin. What does spirulina basically do? Well, it's known for being energizing. That's why we call ours energy bits for your brain, for your body, and at the cellular level. So in your mitochondria. Now you get the
Mm,
energy in a couple of ways. You get it in the immediacy, partly because both the algae, but particularly spirulina, have are complete proteins. They have 18 of the aminos, and including the 9 your body can't make. Now, spirulina, not only because it is a bacteria, all of that aminos they get absorbed instantly into your body, and then which then convert into glucose, and it's loaded with B vitamins that convert the glucose into energy for you. So you get if you take 10, 15, or 20 of these, you will get it within minutes. You will get a mental lift. Your brain fog will be gone. Your hunger will be gone because it also has 40 vitamins and minerals, highest protein in the world, and lots of iron to get oxygens to your blood. So very energizing in the short term. Now, when I say energy, I'm not talking about the kind of energy you get from a stimulant like caffeine,
yeah, like
chemicals, or sugar.
sugar.
They're like putting
Yeah.
paper on a fire. You get a burst and then a crash.
Mm,
That's not the kind of energy we're talking about. This kind of energy works at the cellular level. It's like putting a log on the fire. So it's very quiet, steady. You might not even notice it, except if you're working out, you'll run further or faster, or you'll lift more. So you
good.
get the immediate energy from the aminos being converted by the bees. And this is what, by the way, energy drinks have. They have lots of B vitamins to give you that, and caffeine, of course. This has no caffeine or sugar. This is absolutely zero sugar, zero caffeine. But the long-term energy comes from a couple of things in the spirulina. It has a particular antioxidant in it. It's a long word. It's called superoxide dismutase, also known as SOD. I say SOD is your SOS for your mitochondria. Why is that? Because what this SOD does is it converts free radicals that are produced in your mitochondria and turns them into harmless water and oxygen. So your mitochondria are saved. This stuff is so important. Your body makes it for you from the moment you're born until about the age of 30 or 40. And then it slows down its production after the age of 30, slows down even more after 40, slows down even more after 50. This is because after the age of 30 or 40, evolutionarily, our bodies died. We've only lived
Oh,
past
wow.
30 or 40 for the last couple hundred years. We've been on Earth for 2 million. And up until 200 years ago, we pretty much died at around 30 or 40. So our body, our hormones, everything in our system is set up to start reducing everything.
Right. Efficiency, right?
Testosterone,
Yeah.
melatonin, and also
Mm.
SOD, because you're not going to need all that energy if you're dead, right? So this stuff called SOD you have naturally, but it decreases after the age of 30, and then it keeps dropping. And that means your mitochondria after the age of 30 start getting damaged and more
Mm.
damage. That means you
Yeah.
have less of them to make that cellular energy. That means you get more and more brain fog, more and more disease, more and more fatigue. And it's generally a slippery slope that increases, it goes downhill. The great thing is spirulina has the world's highest concentration of that same antioxidant.
Yeah.
It goes, and because it has no cellulose wall, it gets absorbed into your body, straight into the mitochondria. I say it's like turning your lights back on. You know, when you have a
Yeah.
power outage at a building, and your lights go out, you can't really do much work, right? Same with your body. When your mitochondria get damaged or die, it's like the lights going out, literally in your brain.
Well, we talked about it being the power plant. Like, can you actually kind of bridge the gap? Like, I mean, I know what a free radical is, but the way that you can explain the damaging effects of free radical and how this kind of what we're talking about here, this the spirulina actually helps to eradicate like the free radical and what it does into the mitochondria really and the cell.
Yeah. Well, people have probably heard of things called antioxidants. They know blueberries an antioxidant, vitamin C is vitamin E,
Hmm.
and antioxidants. So here's the thing: a free radical is a molecule with an unpaired electron in its orbit.
Yeah.
Nature hates things that are unbalanced. So
Mm.
what that molecule will do is steal another electron from a neighboring molecule to balance itself out. So now there's two, so it's equal. But then what happens is that leaves that molecule unbalanced and damaged, so it will steal from the next molecule and then the next and the next. This is what causes tissue damage, cellular
Right.
damage.
Right.
Now, the great thing is there's these things called antioxidants that have extra electrons in their outer orbit. And so what they do is they donate their electron to to a free radical that needs one. The analogy I make is that it's like the kid who went to school and brought extra lunches for all their friends so that
Right.
they
Right.
if they didn't have lunch, they
Right.
would have some.
Yeah.
So that's what antioxidants do.
Yeah.
The
It's like a
trouble
chaos
is,
agent. I think it's like a chaos agent. It just goes around and just fucks shit up.
yeah,
Just stealing stuff from people, deteriorating stuff, right? We need like an agent of peace, which is like the antioxidants that come in and be like,
yeah.
hey, everything's okay.
Hey,
Let's find some
how's it going?
balance. Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. Cool. All right.
It,
Good.
br-
Got it.
it it brings chill back to the cell.
Yeah. Right. There you go. Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect. Perfect.
yeah.
Perfect.
But the problem is the mitochondria have two membranes. They're the only cell in your entire body that has two. Every other cell has what's called a lipid membrane, which is a fancy word for saying fat, and the mitochondria has that one too. But they have
Mm.
this inner membrane. It's sort of like how you banks store gold and money in a safe. It's in lockdown. It's got security guards. There's absolutely no way you're getting into that safe. That's what the mitochondria has because it generates cellular energy for the cell and for your entire body. You have something like 100 trillion mitochondria in your body.
Jeez.
That's a big
That's a
number. 2 million per cell in your brain. 2 million of these power
wow.
plants per
Right.
cell in your
Right.
brain. So
Wow.
they generate all the energy. So the mitochondria
Wow.
know what a important job they run. So they have this second membrane that's in lockdown. Drugs can't get in there, and virtually no antioxidants
Mm.
can get in there either. So that's why Mother Nature created this stuff called SOD that can get in there to neutralize those free radicals. Because somebody's got to do the cleanup, right? Except after 30, you have less of the cleanup crew in there. So this
Mm.
is why superoxide dismutase from the spirulina is so important. And there are 25,000 studies, scientific papers, confirming that superoxide dismutase reduces inflammation, prevents heart disease, prevents
Great.
Alzheimer's. The list is endless. But the
Wow.
scientists don't know the highest concentration of it is in spirulina because you know what? It's not found in any other food. You can't get it
Mm.
you can't get it from anything. And I
Mm.
think there may even be some SOD supplements, but they found out that those don't work at all because they get damaged in your stomach.
Yeah, I was gonna
Line
say, yeah,
in
through
your
digestion, like they probably just get
But
destroyed.
because
Yeah.
spirulina doesn't have a cellulose wall, it's like having FedEx. It delivers all the nutrition whoosh, right into your cells, so
Mm.
it gets used. It's bioavailability. It's not what you eat; it's what you absorb that counts.
Well,
So
I heard you
spirulina,
say that one of the reasons it's so readily and bioavailable is because actually spirulina is actually a bacteria, right?
yes,
So there's really no digestion that's needed. It just because our bodies are what like 80% of our cells are bacterial of our entire body, and we're dumping them into the microbiome of the gut, which is bacteria. So I
right.
guess is there like a kind of recognition? It's just like, oh hey,
Like,
welcome
say,
to the
"Hey, yo,
party.
boy, get in
Yeah,
here."
there you go. Okay,
It's
wow,
one of the crew,
excellent.
they're back. Yeah, yeah. So,
Right.
and it's another deep rabbit hole I don't know if we have time to go into, but your mitochondria evolved directly from algae, and I have all the science references for
well,
that.
maybe next time, Catherine, we can go down that one. Yeah, maybe next time.
So that's why it's like, hey, they're relatives, they're family, so of course they're going to get in. It's like having the VIP pass. So
there you go. Right.
I've got it's probably a wild tangent, but we had Dr. Nathan Bryan on.
I know Nathan. Yes,
okay.
Yes,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, perfect. Then this may be
nitric
a natural.
oxide. You got it.
I know.
Yes, that's where I was going. So, he came on the show, a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months ago, and talked about the power of nitric oxide, how important it is, how much it degrades after you're 40. And I was just curious, which you may have seen me kind of looking off to the side for a second. I was like, how do nitric oxide and algae work together?
Great question.
And it spit out the AI spit out this. I'm going to read it, and then you tell me if it's wrong. And it's actually kind of beautiful what I see here. It says nitric oxide is a signaling molecule your body makes itself. Its headline job is vasodilation.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It tells smooth muscle lining your blood vessels to relax, which widens them and improves blood flow. That cascades into lower blood pressure, better oxygen and nutrient delivery, improved exercise performance, sharper cognition, and yes, erectile function. Your body makes it in 2 ways, and then it goes into those. But it says the catch, nitric oxide production declines with age, and the oxidative stress destroys nitric oxide almost as fast as you make it. Algae is a dense nutrient source. Spirulina is roughly 60 to 70% protein and notably high in L-arginine, and raw material for that nitric oxide pathway. How they work together. Algae supplies the precursor, the arginine your body needs to manufacture nitric oxide in the first place. And algae's antioxidants protect the nitric oxide you've already made. Pretty interesting there.
There you go.
So what are your thoughts on that? And,
absolutely. No, that's absolutely correct.
Wow.
The nitric oxide, now we're talking about blood flow, which is, for, rectile,
Sure.
correct.
Well, the men have penises, Catherine.
Yes, I know. I know.
So, okay.
It's all about blood flow. It's all about blood flow. So the spirulina and chlorella help with that because a lot of your narrowing of your arteries is because of damage done to the vascular membranes. So white blood cells go in there to patch it up, which it's sort of like patching up a road until you keep patching and patching and patching, and the road gets narrower and narrower, which increases your blood pressure and decreases your blood flow. So spirulina and chlorella, they're alkaline that help reduce some of that damage, but they also have a nutrient in them called vitamin K2. And a lot of some of the buildup that occurs and the damage that occurs in the arteries is actually calcium. We all are taking all these vitamins and supplements to, D3 to help with absorption of calcium. But if you don't have K2, the calcium settles into what's called soft tissue. That's your brain, your skin, your organs, and yes, your arteries. Because what K2 does is it shepherds the calcium into your bones and your teeth to a certain degree where it's stored. That's where you want calcium to be stored. If you don't have calcium, K2 in your diet, and 90% of Americans do not, your calcium floats into your places where it shouldn't go, like your blood vessels. So the arteriosclerosis is what's hardening partly is the calcium. So not only does the spirulina and chlorella help with the protection of the vascular wall, it helps remove the calcium that's probably gathering there and moves it into the bones where it needs to be. So it really helps with that. And we found that even after just a couple of days, people have had high blood pressure. It's normalized a few days. I mean, you don't have to wait weeks or months for this stuff to work. It's pretty crazy. The body will correct itself and heal itself if you give it what it needs and take away what it doesn't. But that's a big ask in our world these days.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So that's what spirulina is, very much a nourishing algae. Helps with blood flow, helps correct protect the mitochondria from damage, free radical damage, so it can produce the energy that is needed for things like nitric oxide to work properly. Yeah,
Nice.
it's good stuff.
And we can feel the effects, like, we're talking two different algae here, spirulina and chlorella. Like, so
Yes.
how
How are they
quickly
different?
well, no, how they
Oh,
actually quickly do they kind of, or what's the long term, what's the short term, effect? Like if I start taking spirulina, sorry, like now, right? Like what will I feel in a day or a couple weeks? And then if I'm taking chlorella over an extended period of time, what's going on in my body, and what are the
yeah.
long-term benefits?
Well, in terms of, quantities, because how you will feel will depend on, your health condition that you're trying, or the situation you're trying to improve, and also how many you take. If you're just filling nutritional gaps, these tablets, which are about the size of a baby aspirin, we say 10 tablets of spirulina will give you the proper nourishment to fill nutritional gaps. But if you want a great workout, if you want
Mm,
lunch, if
mm.
you want, corrective and nutritional value, 30 is a therapeutic amount. And I don't want people to be horrified, oh, 30, because you can grind them up and put
It's
them in a
easy.
smoothie.
Oh,
Uh,
I
you know,
take
I,
one handful with
Me
water,
too.
like
yeah,
literally,
Just
yeah,
down.
boom,
here's
I'm
what you
boom.
down
do.
all
They
30.
go down. There's no repeat. This is not like fish oil. And when they're down, they're great in a fasted state. They never upset your stomach. We fuel NHL teams, NFL teams, Olympic teams, ultra runners,
Astronauts,
marathon
astronauts.
astronauts, and they take it before a race, before a game. The hockey players, they will put 75 spirulina in their smoothie before a game, because
Wow.
think of it, hockey is fast, it's focused,
Oh
they want
yeah.
So
lots of
fast.
energy. So
Fast twitch
they
muscles, right? I'm thinking
yeah,
fast twitch muscles. So you need
yeah,
to like power, power, power. So
yeah.
those mitochondria, those powerhouses need to be tip
They
top.
need it. Yeah, and then
Right.
they
And that
Okay.
we'll talk about
focus. I mean,
chlorella
Yeah, and the
next, because
focus
they do
too.
this.
Exactly.
They need the same amount after the game, because we'll talk about that next. Chlorella pulls out lactic acid and toxins and heavy metals.
Oh.
But
oh,
so pro athletes, they use a lot. But for if you're having lunch and you had 30, what you'll feel in 15 minutes, your mind will be alert. You will feel on point. The best way to describe it, how you feel, is fresh. And every single time you take it, you will feel the same way. If you're not feeling it, maybe if you take 10 and you're not feeling it, increase it to 15 or 20, because maybe you're a big build, or maybe you're going to do a big workout. Just keep increasing the number to make sure you get that sense. And then you could take them throughout the day. Maybe have 10 in the morning, 20 at lunch, 10, everyone gets that 2 o'clock slump. Take another 10 or 15. It's food, people. We're not talking a drug or even a supplement. It's food. You can give
Yeah.
this to your children, to your newborns, to your pets, your
Wow.
grandparents. There's no contraindications. It's just
Yeah.
food that delivers extraordinary nutrition. So you'll feel
Yeah.
it pretty quickly. Spirulina, you'll feel quickly. I'll explain chlorella in a minute. And it will feel the same way every single time. It's pretty
Wow.
amazing. Yeah,
Well,
you
just
just feel fresh.
give us a little difference between. I mean, I hear you on the food thing, right? I mean, eat food, right? But and the difference between like food, which we're talking about here, spirulina and chlorella, versus a supplement.
Yes.
What's the difference between the two of those?
Sure. Well, most supplements, and there are some exceptions, most supplements are made from synthetics, and they're made in a factory, in a production
Okay.
facility. So we're from nature, right? So is whole food. Your body cannot recognize synthetics. It just doesn't.
Mm.
It's like, what do I do with this? The way I describe it is, food, like algae, is like having a QR code on the nutrition. Or if you go to a theater, you always have a seat number on your ticket. So you know exactly where you're going. You get right to your seat, you sit
Mm.
down, the performance begins. Synthetics do not have a QR code or a seat number. So they get into your body, and then they wander around trying to figure out where to
Where to
go.
go?
And in most
Mm.
cases, maybe a small portion gets absorbed, but most of them just leave the building. Elvis has left the building. They don't get absorbed. That's the biggest problem with supplements. They're made
Right.
from synthetics. They don't get absorbed. And
Right.
most synthetics are made. A lot of these big supplement companies are owned by pharmaceutical companies. They know that it won't get absorbed.
Well,
That's why the numbers are so high on the
right.
bottles, because they know this isn't going to
Well,
get in. So it just
well,
jams so much into that thing, because they're only going to absorb 5 or 10%. Hello, expensive pee,
Well, there
right?
definitely is natural supplements,
Yes,
like
there
say
are
like
some.
taking like lion's mane, you know what I mean,
Yes. Well, there are, like I said,
cognitive, right? So there are. So I mean, so
there are
they
exceptions.
right.
Yeah.
So they like work better because they're natural? I guess obviously the purity and how they're cultivated and that kind of stuff, I guess, makes a difference. But
Yes.
there are definitely supplements out there that are impactful for
Yes,
sure.
there are.
Right.
But
Okay.
you have to do your research to find them.
Okay.
And you want to be, and the other trouble with the supplements in general, the cheaper ones, not only are they made from synthetics, but they're made in factories with high heat. And we'll talk about what makes
Oh,
our
yeah,
stuff
it degrades.
special.
Okay.
It's because
Yeah.
high heat deactivates enzymes, antioxidants, pigments. So it's like getting a great deal on a fabulous sports car, except you lift the hood and there's no engine in there. Wasn't
Right.
such a great deal after all. If you're buying the cheaper stuff that's not going to get absorbed and it's not going to have the efficacy because it doesn't have these other components to it. The other thing that's coming out in science now, which is really cool, is this thing called exosomes. I don't know if people are familiar with them.
I don't know that
Exosomes
one.
are little carrier vehicles. They're sort of like, remember the TV show The Jetsons, and they used to zip
Oh yeah.
around and there's little thingies. Um, These exosomes are found in plants, anything that's alive, and they're basically your cell's version of FedEx. They deliver the nutrition into the cell. Boom. They
Right.
deliver RNA, they deliver nutrients, and they're always found in plants. Supplements or anything that's made in a factory doesn't have those. No
Mm.
delivery vehicle, no
Yeah.
FedEx. So this is
Yeah.
again the wandering effect. With the exception, as you pointed out, there are some that are made from natural ingredients that will get absorbed and will get delivered to your bodies. Tinctures, things that haven't been exposed to high heat, but
Mm.
they're the 1% of the vast majority of supplements that are out there. So I always defer to whole food. Things like Lion's Mane, I consider that in the food category more than a supplement
Okay. Oh,
category.
okay. Got it. Okay.
So so,
Yeah.
um,
Oh,
uh, so
that's a
it
good
has
point. That's a good
it has
point.
it has some efficacy that I think that,
Yeah.
people will need. So that's why I love algae so much. I also refer to supplements as like a soloist, maybe a grade 3 soloist at that. And algae is the orchestra. When you listen to an orchestra, you have all these different instruments and all these different harmonies, and the overall effect is much greater than every individual instrument or player. When you take an individual supplement, one supplement is the flute, one supplement is the piano, but when you take them individually, there's no harmony. They don't up level
Mm.
each other. With algae, you have the enzymes and coenzymes, the factors and cofactors, the antioxidants, the
Awesome.
pigments, the polyphenols. So they all work together because I didn't create it. Mother Nature did.
Right. Right.
I
Right.
just grow it
It's
so
natural.
safely that we
Mm.
preserve what she created,
Yeah.
and it has high efficacy. That's what makes our algae different. That's what makes algae different from supplements and what makes our algae different from anybody else's.
Mm.
Well,
Yeah.
we talked before we hit record here, and actually as Will was going through the intro, we talked about heavy metals
Mm.
and how algae can help with removing these heavy metals. First off, some of our listeners are probably going to hear heavy metal and they're going to think about the old hair bands from the 80s. What are heavy
Yeah, right.
metals and where are men most where are we most commonly exposed to these heavy metals?
Yes, yeah.
And why should we care?
Well, that's a great segue into chlorella, which I haven't talked about yet, because it is the
Yeah.
algae that is the detoxing algae. Spirulina is the nourishing. So I say spirulina puts nourishment in, chlorella pulls toxins out. And those heavy
Mm.
metals are everything from aluminum, mercury, and mercury's in
Glyphosate
your
too, right?
fillings,
Glyphosate.
glyphosate,
Wow.
pesticides, as I mentioned, alcohol, lactic acid, anything that your body doesn't want. Chlorella will pull out. Chlorella also has, lots of minerals and good other 40 vitamins and minerals, but its key thing is, well, it's two things. It pulls out heavy metals and pesticides and things that shouldn't be there, and it builds your gut. Spirulina is nourishment and energy and builds your brain because of this. Your brain has so many mitochondria per cell, and the nutrients in spirulina are known for healing mitochondria, so it's brain food. Chlorella, detoxing and gut food. So how does that work? And then we'll get to where the metals are coming from. So
Yeah.
it has a hard
Well, just
cell
to
wall.
take us like a bit of, so I'm just curious, like, why is an accumulation of mercury, say, like bad for you? Like, what is, I know it has effects in the brain, but like is it just because it's a foreign substance, or is there an actual kind of, like a reaction that happens in the brain when we're kind of like exposed to high levels of mercury, for example?
Well, I'm not actually a chemical
Okay.
expert. So
Got no, got it.
I'm not sure if I can answer that question accurately,
Okay, got it.
because toxicity is a whole nother subject matter, and
Right.
different the different heavy metals, they generally have what's called a positive charge, and
Oh.
they damage receptors on your cells, so
Mhm.
the cells can't function, they can't communicate. They destroy your mitochondria, your membranes. Remember, I talked about your cell membrane. It's
Yeah.
called a lipid membrane. It's supposed to be flexible so that
Mm.
nutrients can get in and
Yeah.
toxins can get out. And heavy metals make it very brittle and damage it. So
Oh.
nutrients can't get in and the toxins can't get out.
Right, right.
So there's lots of different pathways that are very damaging.
Mhm.
They destroy your gut biome. It makes digestion difficult. It
Mm.
interferes with your liver. Your liver is like your cleaning plant, your water
Mhm.
treatment plant. It cleans your blood all the time, and so if you have too many metals, it struggles to try to clean your blood, and so it doesn't do a very good job. It's like, uh, maybe if you run out of dishwasher soap and you just keep running the cycle over and over and over again, your dishes get less and less clean, right? So that's sort of what happens with your liver if it has too many toxins and it just can't clean your blood. So now toxins are spewing out and constantly causing all that damage.
Mm.
So you want to get rid of the toxins. The average adult in America now has 700 toxins in them. I mean, that we weren't built to sustain that kind of toxic load. And
Mm.
some people do things like activated charcoal, which I'm not a fan of because it pulls out all minerals. Chlorella just
Oh,
pulls out the bad boys.
right,
I
great.
and so that's the good thing. And then it introduces all the electrolytes and all the healthy minerals that you need. So that hard cell wall attaches to them and chelates them, which means pulls them all
Oh,
out.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember studying chelation in chemistry. Right, yeah, it's kind of pulls down the metal out of the cell, right? Or out of,
Yeah.
like, kind of a liquid form into, yeah, I forget the whole process, but I remember chelation. Right,
And then,
right.
when you're pulling out toxins, there's what they call 4 pathways for your body to eliminate. Because first you have to pull the toxin out of the cell, get it into the blood, and then get it out of your body. And you get rid of it through breath, sweat, urine, and bowel movements. So, so that's why saunas are so great. That's why exercise is so great, that you're facilitating
Awesome.
that elimination process. So chlorella will pull toxins out of your blood in an hour and a half. And the way you can tell that it's working, guys are going to love this. If you go drinking, take 30, you're going to need 30. And fortunately, they taste pretty good with sea salt or nuts or something, but you can swallow them too. Take 30 after you finish drinking. You will be stone sober in an hour and a half, and you will never have a hangover, ever. I absolutely, absolutely promise you this. But it does
Wow.
take an hour and a half to get fully absorbed into your blood so that it pulls all the alcohol out. And
Oh,
it
that's
does the same
fascinating.
thing in your if you have mold poisoning or any kind of exposure to anything. When the Fukushima disaster happened in Japan 10 years ago, the global supply of chlorella was bought up within 24 hours because everyone in Asia knows that it's the only thing that will pull radiation out of your body.
Oh,
They
wow,
used
I
it
had
at
no
Chernobyl for
idea.
the same reason. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow,
So
that's pretty
very
awesome.
effective at pulling out alcohol and toxins. Your cells will take closer to 10 days to get detox because it's a tighter structure, and your organs will take anywhere from 1 to 6 months. So it's the density of the cells. So
Wow.
chlorella does that. Now it's also called chlorella because of the chlorophyll, and chlorophyll builds your blood. It also kills bad bacteria, but I want to show you a really great um, image. On the one side, you see your blood hemoglobin structure, chemical
Mm.
structure. On the other side, you see chlorophyll.
Oh, they're almost
Notice that they're virtually
identical.
identical. The only
Right,
difference is your blood has iron in the middle, chlorophyll
right,
has magnesium. This is what carries iron or blood,
right.
oxygen. So chlorophyll builds your blood. They're virtually identical structure-wise. So when you have healthier blood, you're going to have healthier blood flow. You're going to have healthier everything. Brain, body, cells, muscles, everything better.
Erectile
And
function, I'd imagine, is going to increase.
yes, that's going to be a good one. And chlorophyll, as I mentioned, also kills bacteria. Now, only about 3% of chlorophyll gets absorbed in your stomach. The rest of it travels through your lower intestine, through your liver, and down through your colon. And that's good, although your poop will be a little green, so don't worry. It shows that it's all working, but it's killing bacteria as it travels through that, that journey, and it travels through your liver. So it gives it, some benefit with that. So that's really cool. I want to tell you one more amazing thing on the, two more things on the gut health detox part of chlorella.
Oh, thank you.
So a lot of problems that people don't like to talk about anymore. I know mental health is, at least people are talking about that. The one that they're still not talking about is constipation. It is rampant. Do you know there's 1.3 million visits to the emergency hospitals in America every year for constipation? If you're on medication, if you're eating processed foods, if you're stressed, if you're eating too many carbs, too much dairy, you are probably constipated. That's probably about 80% of the population. Chlorella is your answer. How does it work, you say? Well, let me tell you. Chlorella has the highest amount of tryptophan, which is an amino acid, in the world. We know that tryptophan is in turkey. Well, chlorella has 5 times more tryptophan than turkey. What's so important about tryptophan? Well, it's a precursor to something called serotonin. You may have heard of serotonin
happy
as
hormone.
Your happy mood neurotransmitter, right?
Yeah. All right, there you go.
So that's just a part of it. Only 10%, maybe 15% of serotonin is made and used in your brain. The vast majority is made and used in your gut. And what does one of the main jobs it does down there? It stimulates what's called bowel motility, also known as a poop.
There you go.
This stuff stimulates bowel movements. It's this. You can look this up. I was stunned to find serotonin stimulates bowel movements. So if anyone's listening, if you have some issues with bowel movements, and many people do, and they don't like to talk about it, chlorella is a game changer. And I have one more little game changer, just because I know how uncomfortable constipation is. Fresh pineapple, people. Take fresh pineapple. It's the bromelain in the fresh pineapple that helps with digestion and stimulates also bowel movements. Those are your go-tos. I promise you, you won't get diarrhea. It just makes things flow the way they should. Excellent. So now chlorella is, pulling out heavy metals. The chlorophyll is killing bad bacteria, building your blood. There's fiber in here that feeds the gut biome. They need fiber, right?
Awesome.
Fiber. It's stimulating bowel movements to get rid of what I call the junk in your trunk. And it's helping your liver with all the cleansing, and also has high glutathione. And your gut is your second brain. They've officially recognized it as your second brain. It has something called the enteric system. These are nerve endings that are inside all of your stomach and your lower intestine. It knows what's going on, and it talks to the big boy up here, the other brain, all the time. So when you have a gut feeling about something, that is your second brain thinking for you. Keeping your gut healthy, which is your colon and your lower intestine and everything, is critical to your health. And chlorella does that for you. So I call this your health insurance. By the way, that's where all your immune system is, because your immune system is mostly created by all the bacteria in your biome. So chlorella is your gut health algae. I call it your health insurance. And spirulina is your nutritional insurance, and also your brain health and your nourishment. So spirulina is nourishment in, chlorella is toxins out. Spirulina is your AM algae. We recommend chlorella in your PM, either after dinner, after a workout, before bed, because that's when your body cleanses itself, detoxes, and repairs. So we have AM and PM, brain and gut. And they work completely differently, but they work together.
Yeah. Wow. Well, one thing just that I met you at a wellness conference here in New York City, Jon and I did, and we launched Focus Now Training. And, you talked about also iron buildup in men.
Yes.
Which I thought was very interesting. And, before we close, I thought this would be a great way to kind of sum it up, because I've never heard this. And you kind of mentioned what's it called for the what brings the iron that brings hemoglobin,
superoxygen.
right?
Yeah.
Hemoglobin, right? Hemoglobin needs iron, right? So
Yes.
how does like iron is obviously very important, for
Yes.
proper
Yes.
blood flow and
In the right
energy and
place.
right in the right place. So what were you talking about as we get older?
Yeah.
Iron builds up in men.
Well, iron is you have two types of iron. First of all, you have what's called circulating iron and stored iron. Circulating iron is what's in your blood. That's the iron in your hemoglobin that carries oxygen. So
Right.
it's important. It's good stuff. Then you have this thing called stored iron. Think of circulating iron like your checking account. Whatever you eat in and out, it's like iron adds, iron's pulled out. Money's put in, money's pulled out. Stored iron is like your savings account. It just stays there and it builds over time. Now, women, let's go back to women who are menstruating, so premenopausal,
Oh
they
yeah.
tend to have low stored iron because they have a period every month, they menstruate, and they release blood. And so when they do that, they release excess stored iron, not circulating, stored iron.
Mhm.
Now, men and menopausal women are do not have that release of blood. So men in particular, over time, they store more and more iron. Now, you've all probably seen a ship at a dock or an abandoned car in a field, and you see rust on it. That's the iron in the car, in the metal, oxidizing with the air. It creates rust.
Mm.
When you have too much stored iron, and men do, and postmenopausal women do, your mitochondria are
Mm.
effectively rusting from the inside. And this came up out of a conversation I had when I was interviewed by Dave Asprey. We were talking about why do men tend to die earlier? And I said, well, do you
Mm.
know they have more stored iron? And here's why it's a problem for you. In the
Mm.
mitochondria, when we talked about those free radicals being
Right.
neutralized by an antioxidant called superoxide dismutase, I'll shorten it to SOD. Okay, well, that was just the first step. The second step of this antioxidant, in order for it to work, is that it has to partner with a mineral, and it prefers to partner in the mitochondria with manganese.
Okay.
Now, if there's not enough manganese in the mitochondria, it will grab whatever is in the greatest supply. And for men, that's iron. When it
Mm.
partners with manganese, it stays anti-inflammatory. If it can't find manganese and it grabs onto iron, it suddenly now reverts to being inflammatory. It started as
Wow.
anti-inflammatory as the SOD, neutralized those free radicals, but there's a second step, and it has to partner with manganese to stay anti-inflammatory. And in men, it never happens. And the reason why is the way that manganese and iron are absorbed in your body, it's called the same pathway. And
Mm.
because your body prioritizes iron, because it's used for so many things and manganese is only used for a few things, it always will prefer absorption of iron. So poor manganese gets elbowed out of the doorway and never gets
Yeah,
absorbed.
right.
So there's a shortage of manganese available in the mitochondria so they can complete what I call the dance of antioxidant. And because there's not enough manganese in there for men, it will always grab iron, which then becomes it's called pro-inflammatory, which effectively means you rust faster from the inside. It's
Wow.
crazy, right? And
Yeah.
there's even a word for it. It's called the Fenton reaction. And
Mm.
you can look on it online if you want to get really geeky. There's a couple other steps.
I
But
will.
this was mind blowing to me because it helped me understand why men have heart attacks generally before women,
Mm.
because your heart is your third highest concentration of mitochondria. First is your brain, second is
Mm.
women's eggs, third is your heart. So when you have damaged mitochondria because you don't have enough superoxide at all after
Dismutase.
the
Yeah.
age of 30, and the little bit that you have is partnering with iron, which is not anti-inflammatory. So now you have heart disease.
Wow.
much
Wow.
earlier than women. And interestingly enough, women's heart disease kicks in at menopause. I
Wow.
think there's a direct correlation.
Yeah. I mean, so what do? We introduce more manganese into our diet? Is
Well, you
that, I
don't need
mean,
to
or
because it's in the algae. That's why I love
okay,
algae so
that's what
much.
I
It's
mean.
got
Okay, there you
everything that
go.
you need. It's like
Right.
you can eliminate lots of your stuff. You don't need a multivitamin. You don't need a fish oil. You don't need a collagen powder. It's all there. It's the orchestra. It's the full range of
Full
nutrients.
spectrum.
You don't have to
Wow.
figure out what to stack, what with, what time of day to take it with. Should I take it with fat or should I take it with fruit? It's all done for you. And I can't
Wow.
claim it. I can't claim the intelligence. This is the universe's intelligence. This is Mother Nature's
Yeah. It's
intelligence.
very old.
But again, what I will say is that if you go to Trader Joe's or get cheaper algae tablets somewhere else, they're usually made in China or India, and they
Mm,
don't pay as much attention to the production process as I have
mm,
selected everything. In fact, we grow ours in Taiwan. I was over
mm.
there a month ago meeting all the people that grow our algae, dry our algae, because we're very hands-on here. So we
Yeah.
get the cheap stuff.
Great.
They cut corners because they have to sell more, and one of the corners they cut is they use high heat to dry it. What does
Mm,
high heat do?
mm.
It deactivates important nutrients. It kills enzymes. It deactivates that superoxide dismutase that's gonna give you the free
Yeah.
radicals. That's an
Awesome.
enzyme. So you're not getting that. It deactivates the phycocyanin. I have the science papers that prove it. So
Alright.
it's like getting that great deal on a car, except there's no engine inside. Don't cheat
Yeah.
yourself. You can get fresh or frozen spirulina, which will do exactly the same thing that ours does because there's no heat. The heat
Yeah.
thing is really
Right.
important when it comes to activation of nutrition. So you
Yeah.
have to absorb it, not just eat it. You have to absorb it, and then it has to be activated. And if it's been exposed to high heat, even a lot of those dry powder things, they use high heat to mix
Yeah.
them. So I
Yeah.
can't, I can't guarantee you're getting an engine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this has really been enlightening, Catherine. Thank you. And like, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are like, oh my God, how can I get my hands on this stuff? So, please, like, let us, know how people,
Yeah.
how we can find you.
Well, our main website is Energy Bits, EnergyBits. We call them bits because they're bits of nutrition. And we have a 20% discount code for all your listeners. The code,
Mm.
no surprise, is MTM, as in Men Talking Mindfulness. There you go. It works on every product every time. Don't think there's no time limit. So you can tell your friends and come back in a year. It'll still work. As
Great.
long
Okay.
so, yeah, energybits.com. We also are very active on social. We have a Energy Bits handle. But remember that spirulina puts nourishment in and it gives you energy and is for your brain. Chlorella
Awesome.
pulls out toxins, pulls out
Love it.
heavy metals, and is for your gut. And the two of them, think of it like I used to live in Boston, as I mentioned, and in the wintertime, people are very protective of their parking spots. And if someone stole your parking spot, you're out of luck. So you call the tow truck or the police force. So think of it this way. Chlorella is like the tow truck, pulls out the toxins that are sitting in your receptor cells so that the nutrition can get in. So
Makes sense.
they work together
Awesome. Yeah.
beautifully. So, but if you only could take one, start with spirulina because you'll notice it, you'll feel it. And
Great.
it's got
Great.
nutrients in there that can't be found anywhere else in the entire world. So, yeah, it's good stuff.
Like I said, enlightening, Catherine. Thank you, and I'm so thanks for bringing this conversation more to the world because it's like there it obviously is a huge deficiency in proper nutrients out there, and there's a lot of lack in the nutrients that a lot of people are eating, and like we obviously have this processed food crisis. We're seeing. I feel like I mean I live in New York City, and I feel a lot of the people are just walking around half dead. I'm
Yeah.
seeing what they're eating on the subway. There's eating like croissants and soaking up protein bars and Snickers, and I'm like, oh my God, how are these people? I wonder why we're so sauntering around our
Yeah.
lives instead of
Yeah.
actively being in them. So this what we're talking about here could really fill that gap and really make a big difference in people's lives. And I really would like to see more people be more active in their life and realize we have an incredible opportunity being human beings to go out and do really great things.
Yeah.
And but it also requires a proper foundation of nutrients.
Yes.
And sleep and all, and detoxifying and that kind of thing. And what we're talking about here really takes care of a lot of that. So really thank you for your time today and all the information and stuff like that. You guys are very welcome.
Definitely.
So Jon, anything?
No, I was just going to say, you definitely know your stuff, Catherine. So
yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. I feel very educated.
I'm on a mission to help people. That's why
you definitely are.
My book comes out in January. Love Your Health to Bits with Algae. So stay tuned for that.
We will. And let us know when it comes out. Yeah, exactly. So
please do. Please do.
Thank you, Catherine. We really appreciate it. For our audience, thanks for tuning in. And until next time, take care, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Catherine. Peace, everybody.